Hey, all right, we're going to use this more as a notes, not as a homework. So we're going to look at, you've now learned all linear equation forms. You've learned slope-intercept, you've learned standard, and you've learned point slope. We're going to go a little bit further with standard today, and then we're going to convert between all three of them. So there are three forms of linear equations. One form is y equals mx plus b. This form is called, hopefully you got this correct, slope-intercept form. The second form is y minus y1 equals m times x minus x1. This form is called, hopefully you got this too, point slope form. The third form is ax plus by equals c. This form is called standard form. Now we've looked at standard form, but we've not talked much more about it. So we are going to go further and talk about that. This form has two special rules when writing it. They are that it cannot contain any fractions or, cannot contain any fractions or decimals. And the leading coefficient a, which is in front of your x variable, must be a positive number. So those are the two rules for standard form. So we're going to look at some examples and see how we can go back and forth between all of them. All right, so I am given this equation. Convert this to standard form and then to slope-intercept form. What form is that in? And hopefully you answered that is in point slope form. Okay, so I want to take it to both of these. All right, what should I do first? I'm going to do some work on the side. What should I do first here? In slope-intercept, I want to get it out of slope-intercept. So, very good. You want to distribute to get rid of your parentheses. And then if you get y by itself, get rid of the plus 7. So subtract 7. And I have to subtract it to the minus 12 because those are like terms. So what is that? 4x minus 19? Now, what form is this in when y is by itself? Very good. That's slope-intercept. So put that there. All right, now from slope-intercept, we want to get it into standard, and that is kind of new. We haven't really worked much with that. Now, keep in mind the two rules that we just said are that we cannot have fractions or decimals, which it doesn't look like we do. And we want the leading coefficient a, which is in front of your x, we want it to be positive. So if we look at the number in front of x, that's our most important thing. Well, this is the number in front of x. Is it positive? It is. So we want to keep this here. Don't touch that 4x. Leave it there. I somehow want to bring this 1y over to the 4x because remember, standard form is when x and y are together on one side. So if I want to bring the 1y over, it's a positive 1y, so subtract it. Well, if I do that, anything minus itself is 0. I can't leave the left side blank. And then none of these are like terms, so just rewrite it. All right, my goal is to have x and y together. The coefficient in front of x should be positive, and it is, but I don't want this minus 19 with it, so bring that to the other side. And if I do that, I have 19 equals 4x minus 1y, or you could change it around, 4x minus 1y equals 19. I have successfully put it in standard form. X and y are together on one side. Your coefficient in front of your x is positive, and there are no fractions and no decimals. I'm going to show you something cool here. So now I have it in three different forms, all three of these. They all mean the same thing, they're just in different forms. So if I go to my Desmos calculator, the very first one, very first one is my point slope. There's that. The second one I'll put in is my standard. And I should only see one line because they're all the same thing. The third one I'm going to put in is my slope-intercept. And still, I should only see one line because they're all the same. Now keep in mind, you can always click on here to get your x-intercept, your y-intercept. Notice your x and y-intercept. Oops. Oh, I'm not on my x and y-intercept. I'm all the way over here. So I'm going to scroll out a little. All right, what did I do wrong here? I either typed something in wrong. Oops, I did. I typed this last one in. It's not a negative 4x, it's a positive 4x. So I'm glad that I zoomed out there because I could see that they weren't all the same. Since all of these are literally the same equation, just in different forms, I should only see one line. So it's a good thing that I zoomed out. I had the right answer over here on the notes. It's just I typed it in wrong. So be cautious of that. So you could always check yourself if it's multiple choice as well, which is a good idea to do once you've done it. All right, so let's look at number 7. Number 7 says convert that to standard form. Now, what form is this in right now? Very good. That is in slope-intercept form. And I want to go, always make sure you know what form it is. And what form do you want to go to? I want to go to standard form, which is ax plus by equals c. Remember, x and y are together on one side, no fractions, no decimals, and a, the coefficient in front of x, needs to be positive. So let's look at this equation that I have here. The coefficient in front of x has to be positive. Is it positive? It is. It's a positive 4x, so keep it there. I want to bring y to it. So how do I bring this positive 1y over? I minus it. Remember, anything subtract itself is 0. I cannot leave the left side blank. None of these are like terms, so rewrite it. I'm going to put the 4x and the minus 1y together and leave the minus 12 on the end. My goal in standard form is to have x and y together, but I don't want that negative 12 there. How do I get the negative 12 to the other side? I add 12. So 12 equals 4x minus y. Or you could write it as 4x minus 1y equals 12. That is in correct standard form. X and y are together on one side, no fractions, no decimals, and the coefficient in front of x is positive. Now let's go check myself and make sure my slope-intercept form and my standard form match up. So clear out what you got here. Put in what they told you. That was my slope-intercept form. Here is my standard form that I came up with, and hopefully they're exactly the same thing, and it looks like they are. I could get my x and y intercept if I need. And remember, I can't get I can't get a table when it's in standard form, but I can get the table when it's in slope-intercept if I ever need to look at it. All right, what form do we got going on here? And hopefully you answered that is in standard form. So it's in standard form, and I need to take it to slope-intercept. What is slope-intercept form? That is y equals mx plus b when you have y all by itself. So let's take my equation in standard form and decide how we're going to get y by itself. What do you think I should do first? Well, I can't touch 4y until I get rid of plus 3x. How do you get rid of plus 3x? Remember, when you're rewriting it, I want my x part first, so negative 3x, and then this is a plus 8. Now I would like to finish getting y by itself, so I divide every single thing by 4, and when I do that, I want to reduce if I can. Negative 3/4, I can't reduce that, so my slope is a fraction. 8 over 4 can be reduced. So I have successfully changed it to slope-intercept form. Remember, that's your slope, that's your y-intercept, in case you needed to know it. Go check yourself. So let's come here. I had it in standard form. That's what it is in standard form. Now check slope-intercept. And it looks to me like it's the same thing. There's my y-intercept, there's my x-intercept. That x-intercept is not very pretty, so just 2.6 repeating. I could also get my table if I needed to, only on my slope-intercept form one. I cannot get it on my standard form one. All right, I believe there's 3 questions left. All right, let's bang these out together so then I can give you a different activity to try on your own. All right, so convert this equation into standard form and slope-intercept. What form is it in? It is in point slope, okay? So hopefully you answered that. So I want to take it from point slope and get it in both of those. So when it's in point slope, what's the first thing I should do to try to simplify it? Hopefully you answered to distribute. So leave the y minus 3. 2 times x is 2x. 2 times 5 is 10. Go ahead and finish getting y by itself. Get rid of the minus 3, so plus 3. So I get y equals 2x plus 13. What form is that in? That's in slope-intercept. You usually always go right to slope-intercept from point slope, and then from slope-intercept you can take it to standard. Remember, standard form is ax plus by equals c. X and y are on one side. Remember, you want no fractions, no decimals, which it looks like I'm okay with that, but I want a to be positive, the number in front of x. So check that right now. Is a positive? It is. So leave it there. Don't touch it. Bring the 1y over to it. So subtract 1y. So 0 equals 2x minus 1y, and I'll leave the plus 13 on the end. Remember, standard form is just the x and the y. So get rid of the 13. Oops. So negative 13 equals 2x minus 1y. So I've successfully changed it to standard form. I can flip it around if I'd like to. It doesn't matter. Now let's double check ourselves. So go ahead and put them all in. The very first one, point slope that you started with. Oops. All right, so there's my point slope. Here's my standard. And here's my slope. So far I see one line. Oh, and notice how that changed to be right on there. I can see my y-intercept, I can see my x-intercept, I can move all around if I need to. So all of these are the same exact thing. I should only see one line because they're all the same, just in different forms. All right, number 10. Convert this to standard. What form is that in? That is in slope-intercept. Hopefully you answered that correct. And now I want to take it to standard. Think about standard form. Ax plus by equals c. X and y are together on one side. A, your coefficient in front of x, is positive, no fractions, no decimals. All right, well, let's look at what I got here. Your biggest thing is you want your a value to be positive. Right now, it is positive, so keep it there. How am I going to bring the 1y over? So I subtract 1y. I'm going to keep the x and the y together. All right, now I want x and y. I don't want the plus 4, so get the plus 4 to the other side by subtracting it. Oops. All right, now the biggest, most important thing is that your a value is positive, and it is. But my only issue is I can't have fractions or decimals. Well, I have a fraction here, and I can't. You multiply everything by whatever the denominator is, both sides. So if I multiply 1/2 times 2, I just get 1x, so I got rid of the fraction. Negative 1 times 2, I get negative 2y. And if I multiply this side by 2, because whatever you do to one side, you have to do the other, because an equation stays balanced, I would get negative 8. So my standard form for that one is 1x minus 2y equals negative 8. Now let's go check ourselves on our calculator. Am I correct? All right, so y equals 1 divided by 2 over x plus 4. That's my slope-intercept. Now put my standard. 1x minus 2y equals -8. And it's always important to check yourself, because I could tell if I'm right or wrong here by how many lines I see. Since they're the same thing, just in different forms, I should only see one line. There's my y-intercept, there's my x-intercept. So I know that I'm good. All right, last one. All right, what form is this in? That's in standard form. I want to convert it. Remember, standard form is when x and y are together on one side. Your a value, or the number and coefficient in front of your x, is positive, and there's no fractions or no decimals. So that's in perfect standard form. Get it in slope-intercept. What is slope-intercept form? Hopefully you answered that. So my goal is to get y by itself. So that means I can't touch -5y until I get rid of the 2x. So subtract 2x. So -5y equals -2x plus 15. Finish getting y by itself by dividing everything by -5. If I do that, y equals 2/5 x minus 3. So y equals 2/5 x minus 3. Now let's check. Check my standard. Check my slope-intercept. How many lines should I see? Since they're the same thing, I should only see one line. And I do. I only see one line unless I see anything else, and it doesn't look like it. There's my y-intercept. There's my x-intercept. Remember, I could get a table if I'm on the slope-intercept form one, if I needed to. All right, go ahead and see what else you need to do. Let me know if you have any questions.